Chapter 8. I wonder who took it, Dink said. Miss Rose climbed the steps and knocked on the door. Anyone in there? She called out. The trailer remained silent. Paul sniffed the ground near the chair, then began whimpering. He sat facing the trailer and wagged his tail. Paul smelled someone, Dot said. Should we wait around? Dink asked. I can't think of anything else to do, with Rose sitting on an aluminum step. The game is cancelled, Mr. Pocket's people are missing, and Pete's in jail. Suddenly, the trailer door burst open. A boy with a wild look in his eyes. He resembled Uncle Pete Duncan, was only a lot younger. His blonde hair was messed up, and he was wearing the flannel shirt. What do you mean, Pete's in jail? The kid demanded. Paul let out a low bark. Hush, Paul, John said. Ruth Rose was so startled she jumped up the steps. Who are you? She stammered. The boy shook his head. You first. Who are you guys? Dink took a step toward the boy. I'm Dink and these are my friends, Josh and Ruth Rose, she said. The boy studied the group. I saw you at the game, he said, raking a hand through his hair. I'm Betty, Pete's brother. Is he really in jail? Why? He stole, the cop thing. He stole some valuable baseballs, Josh said, but he just stared with his mouth open. The baseballs in that glass case, he said. Pete showed them to me before the game started, but he didn't took them. My brother was still a penny, but he confessed, Dink said. But he came through the door and flung himself down on the top step. He must be lying for me so the cops won't think I stole the balls. Dink stared at Buddy. He looked around 14 years old. His eyes were red as if in crying. Did you take them? Dink asked. Buddy shook his head. Heck no, he muttered. He swallowed and took a deep breath. But Pete must think I did. Why would he think like that? Ruth asked. Because I was teasing him before the game, Buddy said. We were both looking for the balls and I said something stupid like I'll bet we could get a lot of money instead. Buddy looked up. It was just a joke. Pete's fun to tease, he said. Anyway, I saw Pete leave the game to go after some medicine. When he didn't come back, I went inside to see if he was okay, but Pete wasn't there. The glass case was busted and the balls were missing. I figured Pete must have thought I stole them and came back to the trailer looking for me. So I ran back and Pete wasn't there. Officer Fallon picked up Pete in his trunk, Dink said. That's when your brother said he took the balls. He had to keep me out of trouble, Buddy muttered. Just like he did before we left Maine. What happened in Maine? Ruth asked Buddy. Something really dumb, Buddy said. He stared into the trees that surrounded the clearing. Pete and I lived together because our folks all died in a car crash a few years ago, Buddy said. Ever since then, I kept messing up, and Pete keeps trying to get me out of trouble. Buddy scooted down the steps and reached to pet Paul. The dog licked Buddy's hand and rolled over the ground. Last winter, when I was hanging with my friend Fizzo, Buddy said, Pete didn't like Fizzo. Says he's a bad influence on me. Anyway, it was cool, and we saw the delivery van in the alley next to Sugar's Bakery. The engine was running, and Fizzo said, let's set in it to get out of the cold. We sat there for a few minutes, smelling the warm bread. Next thing you know, Fizzo's driving the van. Buddy looked up at Dink, Josh, and Rivers. It was just supposed to be a joke on Mr. Sugar, he said. Fizzo wanted to park the van around the corner for laps. Only the road was icy, and the van slid into a snowbank. Fizzo got out to try to shove us free. I slipped behind the wheel and put the van in reverse. That's when the police came, filling up it. So Pete didn't take the van? Asked Ruth. No way, Buddy shouted. I told you my big brother is the most honest guy in the world. Buddy stroked Paul's silky hair. Anyway, Fizzle and I were at the police station scared to death, he continued. I called Pete and told him what happened. 5 minutes later, he came flying into the police station. But he shook his head. I still can't believe what happened next. Pete lied probably for the first time in his life. He told the police officer he was the one who took the van into the snowbank. Pete said, "The whole thing was my idea. I took the van, not my little brother or Fiddle." The three kids just stared at Buddy. When they asked Pete to explain how only Fiddle and I were in the van, Pete said he panicked and ran. Buddy went on. They believed. Then Fiddle's folks came to get us, and Pete sat in jail overnight. Buddy scratched Paul's belly, and the dog let out a big sigh. "Don't you see? Pete's lying for me again," Buddy said. "I don't know who took those baseballs, but it wasn't me, and it sure wasn't Pete." And that is the end of chapter 8. See you next time with chapter 9.